All right, 1 second. Setting up on YouTube and Facebook. Give me a minute. There we go. Welcome, welcome.
Now, do all German Shepherds bite? Probably not. Do all dogs bite? Probably not. But I'm with Kevin Hart. When people say, does your dog bite? They don't bite me, which means that I really don't know if this dog gonna bite you. So because I'm fearful, I'm a chill. So do you see how fear collapses us? It puts us in a position that we don't go forward. You know, forgive me. Ooh, forgive me. My phone is going crazy right now. Okay. It puts us in a position where we do not go forward, and we really should. It puts us in a position of stagnant behavior. And what I mean by that is we don't change. We just stay where we are because it's safe. You can't be vulnerable and you can't have intimacy if you're going to play it safe. You know why? Because there's no safety net when you're open. There's no safety net when you allow people into your private space. And there's no safety net when you're intimate because you're trusting someone. And yes, you may get hurt. Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say you're going to open up yourself, you're going to trust someone, and you won't get hurt. It's a very good possibility you will. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you open up to someone and it becomes one of the best relationships you've ever had? It will withstand the test of time, and it's a relationship that nurtures you. How can I have a nurturing relationship and be vulnerable and have intimacy included? Remove the fear. Let the fear dissolve. Allow your authentic self to show up. Well, what's my authentic self? The person you know you are. I have a very strong persona because I know I'm a turtle. I have a hard shell, but inside I am soft and squishy. And without that hard shell, that turtle would be vulnerable to being stepped on, squished, and mutilated. My hard exterior came from the fact that I didn't want that to happen because I have been hurt before. My heart has been mutilated. My personality of who I am has been assaulted. So what I did was build a wall up. But over time, that wall that you build up, it not only provides a safe space, but only for you, but it gets thicker over time. So it's very hard to be able to remove yourself from the encased place that wall you built up has provided for you. Think about this. Look at, you're in a plexiglass room with no door. You can't get out, but you get to look and you get to see everybody passing by. You get to see everybody having fun. You get to see people just doing stuff, people holding hands, people kissing, people eating ice cream, people going to dinner, but you can't do it. You can see it, but you can't do it. That's what fear does to you. It locks you in a place where you can see life, but you don't live life. And hey, what's the use of living if you can't just live life? Come on, Plico. Think about it. Think about it. You can't open up to anybody. You can't be yourself. You can't let someone into your private place. You can't trust somebody. And your fear says that it's okay that you don't do that. So what type of relationships are you really going to have? The other person thinks that they're having an open relationship with you where they're vulnerable and they trust you. So there's intimacy, and they have no idea that the relationship that they think they're having, they don't have. And as this relationship goes on in time, they start seeing that you're not showing up. You're not really there. And then the relationship crumbles. And you sit there and say, see, they really didn't care about me, or they weren't my real friend, or they didn't love me, or they didn't understand me, or they didn't want to be with me. Well, how can they understand you if they didn't get the real you? How can they want to continue to be with someone who has closed them out and won't let them in that private space? How can someone continue to give you their complete self and you don't trust them? And if you think that people do not see that you're not open and they don't feel that you're not letting them in, yeah, they do. They really do. And you know how I know? The last time someone said to you, why is it I can't talk to you? Why is it that you're not listening to me? Why is it that when I'm with you, I feel like I'm still alone? And that's your fear. And your response probably can be, I don't know what you're talking about. I heard everything you said. And then you repeat the whole last line of the conversation, but that doesn't mean that you were listening. It doesn't mean that you were there. It doesn't mean that you're part of this conversation, because you can't be, because you've closed yourself totally off from being vulnerable and having intimacy. And I tell you, I hear it all the time. I am a life coach. People feel validated in that response. Well, you would act the same way if you were hurt as much as I've been. So let's look at that question. If you've been hurt over and over and over again, was it someone else's fault, or was it the way you're dealing with individuals in your life? That's a question. You can answer that later. I'll give you a moment to think about it, so I'll go on. And each relationship that you've been hurt by, if there are similar characteristics, is it that you're just choosing the same person? They just have a different face, they have a different name, and you choose the same person over and over and over again because it's easy, because that type of person will allow you to show up just a little and not trust them until they are sick of your behavior. And again, your relationship crumbles. Why is it that I can't sustain a relationship for some time? I can be with someone for a couple of months and then all of a sudden I'm alone again. Because everybody's not stupid. They realize they're getting a piece of you and they don't want a piece. They want it all. Well, if I give someone all of me, then when they leave, what do I have left? Wonderful memories, a learning experience. You can look at the good and the bad and the beautiful of that experience. You take away the good, and what you saw was bad. If you need to change some things, you change it. And you look at the beautiful of the fact that you interacted with someone and you go on living. We're not vulnerable. We're not intimate because we beat ourselves up. I was such a fool to be with that person. They did A, B, C, D, E, F, G to me. Why were you a fool? Because it didn't turn out the way you thought it would? Maybe it's not you. Maybe it was them. And maybe they are not able to be vulnerable, and they are not able to be intimate, and they are dealing with fear, fighting enemies, allies, and relationships. That inner me, that inner thinking, that behavior that's learned is killing most people, and it's destroying relationships. Your allies, those are people that run with you no matter what. They have your back, they look out for you, they promote you, and you're still fearful. You fight them constantly because you don't want to trust them. Oh, this is too good to be true. How many times have you said that? How many times have you heard people say, it's too good to be true? How about it's just too good? And truly, I'm going to enjoy it. Instead of looking at what's going to happen 5 years down the road, why not just enjoy the next 5 minutes? And if that feels good, enjoy the next 5 minutes. And if that feels good, enjoy the next 5 minutes. We're so busy writing a story that we can't even pencil ourselves into it. We used to laugh when we were kids. You write your name, that you write their name, and you take out all the vowels, and you see you're compatible. Don't be shocked. People still do that. They just do it in a different way. And they just put in other things that they think would make them compatible with this person, and they run with it. They don't think about the fact that I have to open up to them and they have to open up to me. So this way we can trust each other and we can have intimacy. We never look at that. We never look at that. And, fear has a way of throwing itself on everybody around you. If you were so fearful to interact with people, those people will start being fearful of you interacting with them. Why? They feel your fear. You ever hear when they say a dog can sense fear? Okay, a dog can sense fear. So can humans. And we can sense when someone is fearful. So there's one or two things that happens. We either back up, because a fearful person will definitely just put you in a place you don't want to be. Or we run into the fire. I'm going to save you. And that doesn't work either, because no matter how much you feel, you want to wrap yourself around someone who is fearful. Only they can deal with that fear, and not you. And there's nothing that you can say or do that will remove that. Now, there's a couple of things that I think that will help you with dissolving that fear and getting you to a place of vulnerability so you can have that intimacy. And number one, face the fear. Face whatever that fear is. I have a fear of commitment. I have a fear of commitment because if I commit to someone, what if it does not work out? I have a fear of trusting people, because what if I trust someone and they prove not to be the person that I thought they would be? That's on them and it's not on you. If you trust someone and they turn out to be a liar, let's just use that example, that's not on you, that's on them, because they're the liar. If you have a problem with commitment, and it doesn't have to be a relationship, it could be with work, it could be with school, it could be with business, and you have a fear of commitment because you have a fear that it's not going to work out, you're absolutely right, it's not. Because you have to do something for it to fail. Another question. Wouldn't you rather have failed at trying than not to have done anything at all? Failure happens to give you a template for what to do the next time. Yeah, that little tidbit is going to go a long way, isn't it? Yes. If you fail and you write down, Always write stuff down. You work better from a document than you do your thoughts. You write down the reason why it failed. Let's take a relationship. Okay, the relationship failed because I wasn't open and honest. I wasn't ready to give of myself. I just wasn't ready to be with one person. And I was dating someone else at the same time. That person became angered because they thought we were in an exclusive relationship, and it exploded, it imploded, and now we have no longer a relationship. Well, if you look at that, I wasn't open. Next time, be open. I wasn't trusting. Next time, be trusting. And be truthful about whether you want to be exclusive or not. Hey, I still want to, I still want to date. I like you. I like dating you. But I still would like to date other people. Is that okay with you? Or were you looking for more of a commitment? So the person says, well, I was looking for more of a commitment. At that point, that's where you release them. Don't hold them bondage because you like them. Release them, let them go to someone who wants to be committed. Be honest. I really like you. I think you're a fabulous person, but I can't give you what you want because I'm not looking for a commitment right now. Only. There you go. You release them to go to have what they need. And then you say, well, you don't have what you need. If I'm dating and that's what I want to do, I have what I need. I'll be dating. Why is it that you want to be a serial dater? That's a question you'll have to ask instead of being in a committed relationship. Well, the question is your fear of commitment. Why are you fearful? You have to ask that question. You have to face your fear. You can't run from it. You have to face it. Once you conquer it, then you're open. Then you let people into your private place. And you have the ability to have a trusting and loving relationship. That can even be with your job. Believe it or not, if you go to your job and because you've had some terrible jobs before, you were fired, you always feel like you never get a good shot, it's always an issue. So you go in already thinking, oh, this isn't going to be any better than any of the other jobs that I've had. You're absolutely right, it won't, because you are signing a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so when you get fired 6 months later, the only person you can fault is yourself because you spoke it into existence. You acted in such a way that now you're fired. You didn't give anything. You didn't put anything out there, and you didn't trust the process. Hashtag trust the process. You didn't trust the process because you were so fearful that I'm going to lose another job. Well, maybe you should write down on a piece of paper, what were the reasons I was terminated? What do I agree with? That is the truth. And what is it that I don't? What within me can I change? And what within me I don't have to? Number 2, work through the fear. Therapy. Get a therapist. You have to work through that fear. Your fear of commitment, you have to start making relationships where you show up and you do what you say you're going to do. Doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a commitment in your job. You're always late. Okay, commit to being there on time. You're always doing some other type of work at work. I know I was always guilty of that. Don't tell nobody. But for those 7.5 hours, be present. Commit to just doing the work that they are paying you for. In a relationship, commit to showing up. I will listen more. I will care more. I will trust more. Number 3, self-talk. Oh my God, this thing right up here is killing all of us. All of us. And you know why? There's a little place in the back of your brain. It's called the amygdala. I know I like that word. That's where your thoughts and your emotions live together. They're chilling. They are roommates. So your emotion of the pain of the last time you were hurt stimulates the thoughts of the last time you were hurt. And we don't like to release stuff. Your mind remembers what your heart refuses to release. So you have to release it. You have to just work through it and you have to release it. You have to let it go. They broke your heart. I'm sorry, honey. I really am. But I'm not going to tell you don't try another relationship. You got fired from that job. You were treated horribly. I'm sorry, sugar honey. That doesn't mean not to find another job. My friend let me down. They disappointed me. Yeah, sugar baby, that does happen. I'm sorry. But still continue to be a friendly person because he who is friendly will have friends. Number 4, create a space to build your self-esteem. How do you do this? Start doing things with you. It all starts with you. And you're like, well, I do stuff with me every day. No, you don't. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you check your phone, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you get in the shower. If you ironed your clothes the night before, then that's one thing you don't have to do. You iron your clothes, you get your coffee or your breakfast ready, you put on what you have to put on, you get your attaché case, you get your pocketbook, you're out the door, you go to work. What have you done for you? What space have you created? Well, I don't have time to get up 30 minutes earlier to create space. It's not going to kill you. 30 minutes earlier is not going to ruin you. If you're up at 7, then get up at 6:30 to create space. I don't care if you just sit in the chair, open the window, and let the breeze touch your face. You're creating space for you. And then you can think about what makes me authentic. You could think about how I'm going to interact within this day. You could do your I ams, I am wonderful, I am great, if that's what you do. You can pray if that's what you do. You can read if that's what you do. But create a space for you before you walk out into the space of everyone else. You got to be good with you. And the reason why we're so fearful is because we're not good with us. We don't have space. We don't put ourselves in a safe space. So now you're just vulnerable to the wolves. So you say, see, that's why I'm not vulnerable. That's why I'm not going to have intimacy. Nope, you did it to yourself. You don't open up because you don't have space for you. You have to make that space. You have to be kind to you. The next time you say something rude to you, say to yourself, whoa, 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 whoa. Speak nice to me. Speak nice to me. Many of us say stuff to ourselves. We would never insult anyone else with those words. And if you wouldn't insult someone else, why would you insult yourself in such a way? You would never tell you look absolutely disgusting. You wouldn't tell someone else, you look absolutely disgusting in that dress. You look so sallow, the color, and rip it apart. But you will do that for you. Why don't you start treating yourself in a way that you won't be fearful to interact with others? Treat yourself kind. Treat yourself well. And that will help you to show up authentically. Because if you're good with you, it doesn't matter if anybody else isn't. I have a thing that I say that always cracks my sister up. And I say, I never start nothing. And I don't start anything for anybody. But if by chance someone feels that they want to start something with me, then whatever they get, they ask for. They ask for it because I don't start. I don't need to start it because I'm okay with me. I work through the stinking thinking and the bad behavior. And when it comes up, I talk it away. Well, you'll never, no, I will be. Well, you'll never do, I will do. You know that you can't, I can. See, the more that you speak that, your fear decreases because fear can't overcome you if you're speaking in a negative tone to you. You speaking in a positive tone to you. Remove the negative tone. That's what I wanted to say. Remove the negative tone. Remove the negative words and replace them with positive ones. If you don't know what to say, go online and start at the letter A and put in positive words that start with A and write down a couple of words that you want to say to yourself. And you do this on a regular basis. It never stops. The more you do this, the more you will get acclimated in doing it, and it will just be your regular speech. We have to start making normal our inner thoughts, our self-talk, and our unlearned behavior. A lot of what we have heard, we are carrying now what we've heard since we were kids, since we were little people. And like I used to always eavesdrop because I was nosy, and my nickname was Newsday because I always was telling something, because I was always hearing something. But a lot of that stuff I heard were the basis for my fears growing up. And it was the foundation of my failures as I got older. So I had to unlearn and remove. And that's what you have to do every day, all day. Unlearn and remove. Remove the negative thinking and unlearn the bad behavior. There's a lot of behaviors that we adapted that we don't even know. The worst one is gossip. Because we're so used to running our mouths about stuff, we don't realize how much we say in a conversation. Well, they said, well, next time someone says that, ask them, face your fear, say, well, who's they? Nobody even knows who they are, but they are always saying something about something. It is so indicative of human behavior to gossip, to talk about people. And, I wasn't talking about them. Well, if they're not here and it's their business, doll face, you're gossiping. But we think it's all right. The same way we think it's all right to assume someone's going to treat us bad and we do it first. How many times have you said to yourself, I know this isn't going to work out, so I'm going to do ABCD before it's done to me? Or what I used to be very, very famous for, I'm getting out of here before it goes left. Relationship wasn't doing anything. Matter of fact, it was kind of okay, but it's too good to be true. Let me tell you something. Let me get out right now before it gets bad. And never are you able to see how good it can really get. And no, you don't experience how bad it can really be. And sometimes we need a relationship to go through for it to get as bad as it needs to be, because that's when you change. That's when you learn something about yourself. When you go through something, you realize how strong you really are, how well you can adapt, and how you shift. That comes from your fear dissolving. That comes from you being vulnerable, opening up, allowing your private space to be penetrated, and for you to be able to trust. Girl, I ain't never gonna love again. I say to you, please do. Please do. It's one of the best things we got out there. Embrace somebody. But what if I get hurt again? What if you don't? What if you don't? Well, I know I ain't giving this job my all because it's JOB, just over broke. Okay. And you signed a offer letter that said that you would get paid for a certain amount of money to do a certain job, 7.5 hours. Are you doing the job that you signed your name on that paper to do? That's where commitment comes in. Committing to do what you said you would do. You've got to be vulnerable to do that. You have to know your authentic self. You have to be in that space to do that. Well, I had a friend and they really weren't the friend I thought they were. So, this thing, no new friends. You better make some new friends, because if you're a person of a certain age, your friends gonna start checking out of you. So you're down to one friend that you've had since kindergarten, okay? And that friend checks out. And so now you're alone because you refuse to make more friends. Everywhere you go, you should have a friendly interaction with someone new. I'm not saying they're coming to your house and they're going to have dinner, but everywhere you go, you should meet someone new that you have a friendly interaction with that possibly could become a new friend. Oh, listen, I'm not the one to have 50 people around me, not at all. My circle is tight, but I have a lot of people I'm friendly with. And I do believe you should have a tight circle, because everybody cannot have your authentic self. And that doesn't come from fear, that comes from knowledge. Trust me, everybody can't take Yvonne the Motivated Man. I know it. I'm very comical. If I'm in a group of people and there's someone that's not laughing, they looking at me like this, they're not feeling me. I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Okay, all the people laughing, let's move over here and let freeze dry sit right here. They're not feeling me. It's okay. It's okay. It is all right. But the thing I want to leave with you more than anything else, show up authentically. And if they can't take you, that's on them. That is on them. You present every day as you. You make sure you know who you want to let into your private place so that you can trust them and have intimacy, and stop letting fear overcome all of the good stuff that's out there waiting. Because the longer you hold on, the more it keeps you from what you really need to do, the people you really need to be with, and the relationships you really should have in your life. And what's the use of living if you're not going to interact in a way that is positive and pleasing? So I hope you were able to get a little information that you can take with you on your journey. If you have any questions, I would love to start, answering them now. And you can always contact me at YvonneMan07 @gmail. That is for the deaf folks, YVONNEMANN07 @gmail.com. Ooh, I was flexing my hands, wasn't I? Always nice to have a
You
gift.
sure were. You sure were. Well, thank you, Yvonne, man, the motivator. And thank you so much for sharing those words of instruction for us. And I, I really got something out of it, and I know that the audience did. And I have a few questions from the streaming live on YouTube. There are
Okay.
a few questions, so I'm going to give them to you. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
first question is, do you think that fear of intimacy is from abandonment when we were younger?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If you were left at a young age, being able to allow people into your space, your private space, would be very hard because you're always going to think someone's going to leave you. So that's something you have to face. That's a fear that you will have to face. And that is, they're going to leave me. On the other hand, what if they don't? You know, um, opening up yourself to trust someone can be hard because if you were left. But if you take your time and get to know this person and not jump into a situation, you'll see if this is someone that has some staying power or they're just in it for something. And I would say definitely look into therapy regarding any issues around abandonment.
Okay. All right. Does anyone that is on the Zoom have a question while I'm looking at the other questions? Okay. Um, I think this is just a statement. I've had so many traumas in my life, and not sure where this began. What do I start doing to unearth what I felt?
Okay. Again, I say you work better from a document than you do from thoughts. Write down exactly what you're feeling. So this way you can look at those feelings. I'm fearful. Okay. I'm angry. Okay. Um, I'm sad. Okay. Look at all of those things that you're feeling and get them out. You can't do anything with something that is inside. You have to be honest with yourself also how you feel. I get it. It don't bother me. And inside I'm like, crack, 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 crack. So you have to face it. You have to see what it is and deal with it. And, and deal with it. That's just it. You got to come clean with you. And you got to stop what you're thinking. You have to make sure you have some
Mm-hmm.
positive thoughts and remove the negative thoughts. Because if you're saying,
Right.
I've had so much happen, one of the things we say to ourselves is, well, I deserve it. What you deserve, darling, is to have a good life. That's what you deserve. And that's what you should work toward giving yourself, not looking for someone else to give you a good life, that you work on giving you a good life.
Yeah. Good. Okay. I don't have any more questions here.
Okay.
Again, does anyone else in the audience have a question? Let me see. I don't think so. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, Yvonne, we want to thank you for just. Oh, there we go. Here's Joanne said something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on, Joanne. I didn't see that. Sorry, Mom. This is my first time hearing Yvonne. Really enjoyed it, and thank you for the opportunity. I would like to know I posted it on the event page, but I will post it here as well. Um, I want to thank you, Yvonne, for sharing about this relationship trauma because it doesn't develop overnight, and we know that. So it's important to keep in mind everything that you said, that healing takes some time. You need to have self care and do all the things that you recommended. And we know that the strategy is focused on doing the healing process. And we have to cultivate an environment that feels emotionally and physically safe. That's what you were saying to us. And then identify and establish boundaries so we can build a support system that we trust with people that we trust. And that's really what it's all about. We thank you, Yvonne. And if you can give your information on how the audience can get in touch with you, once
Okay.
again.
All right, I'm Yvonne, the Motivated Man. I'm the host of Determined Women of Destiny. You can catch that on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, I have a journal out for women of color called Designated Survivor, Beauty of Your Ashes. And it takes you on a journey from that trip on that boat from Africa to the here and now, and it talks about your talents and your gifts and how to work on just living the life you want to. A lot of times, of course, fear is involved. We as women don't live the life that we want to. We live the life that we feel we should. We're not living our dreams. We're not taking our dreams and making them into goals. And we're not seeing those goals live into achievements. Okay. So this journal helps you. You write in that journal and you go through it, and it just puts everything in place. And I will have a workshop that will go with the journal. It's going to be before the end of the summer. I don't have a date, but I will definitely be able to give that information to Miss Edna. She will give it out to all of you. And again, you can always reach me at my email, and that is Yvonne Man07. That's YVONNEMANN07 at gmail.com. I would love to hear from all of you. Send me shoot me an email. Just let me know how you felt about today, what you got from it. If you're going to use the information, if you thought you couldn't use, whatever, because I just want to communicate with you. You know, you make me better at what I do.
That's wonderful. And again, we want to thank our we want to thank you. Thanks for being here both on YouTube and both and on Zoom. Thank you so much. Thank you, our special guest, Yvonne Mann, and we're gonna wish you well. And if you want any as well as you with stream. Thank you again, and have a wonderful day. Bye now.
Bye.